everyone. I am Diane Howell from Career Services. I am really excited today to be joined by Kendall Perez from Interstride. And Kendall's going to be our primary presenter today, sharing information about the resource Interstride, which is a new resource available to Penn students designed specifically for international students. And he's going to be giving you an overview of how you might be able to use Interstride as an assistance to you. So this is part of our graduate career skills series. We have two programs today that are geared specifically for international students. The next program is coming up at 1 o'clock. I am dropping information about that in the chat. That is a Q&A session with someone from our office, as well as an immigration attorney from ISSS. And so I strongly recommend that if you have specific questions related to CPT, related to OPT, they could be answered by ISSS, that you register for that program, which is at 1 o'clock today, also held virtually. And I will also drop later on the link to Interstride so you can all have access to that as well. But I'm going to turn the tables over to Kendall. So welcome, Kendall. He is joining us from the West Coast. And take it away. Oh, sorry. The one thing that we talked about earlier was drop in the chat what school you're from. Kendall would love to know. Are you in engineering? Are you in arts and sciences? Are you in GSE? Are you in the law school? Where are you? So please drop in the chat and share with Kendall what school you're in, maybe what program you're in, so he can get a good understanding of who's joining us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Diane, for the introduction. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here. As Diane mentioned, my name is Kendall Perez, and I'm with our university relations team at Interstride. So I've been working very closely with Diane and the rest of the team just to go ahead and onboard this new resource that is available for y'all. So I'm going to take the next, 30, 35 minutes just to go ahead and dive into the platform itself. And showcase a little bit about what it is, how you can navigate it, best tips and tricks as you embark upon your immigration and career journeys. So before I dive straight into the portal, I want to mention, Interstride. What is it? So Interstride is an interactive portal that was designed specifically to help international students studying in the US find opportunities post-graduation. So we do know about 80% of international folks have indicated they want to stay in the US post-graduation. Realistically, there's more hurdles for international folks to navigate compared to their domestic counterpeers. And this was developed, my supervisor, his name is Nitin. He is one of the co-founders of Interstride, and he was an international student himself. He's from Nepal, and he did his higher education in the States. And just navigating that process from an international lens, understanding those different hurdles and challenges, led to the inspiration of what is now Interstride. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and get that going so we can go ahead and dive into the portal. So here is the landing page for y'all. I'm going to go ahead and share this link in the chat if anyone has, if anyone wants to bookmark this, save this, but this is where you'll go to log in. When you hit the login button, the first time that you'll log in, you want to make sure that you're logging in with your university email. So if you try logging in with your Gmail or something and it's your first time, you're not going to have access. So making sure that you are logging in with your upenn.edu domain, the system will detect that and it will redirect you to log in using your university credentials. So you already have access to the site. And if you want, you can integrate your LinkedIn, your Gmail. You can add a secondary email, which I definitely recommend that y'all do, especially if you're going to be graduating. Sponsorship, realistically, if you're utilizing OPT, you may be looking more at sponsorship opportunities a year after graduation. So this could be something that you want to bookmark to be able to utilize as an alumni. This absolutely is available for you even post-graduation. So But with that, this is the breakdown of the portal when you first log in. So this is our home dashboard. You'll see that the portal is divided within four main sections. We got jobs, network, learn, and tools. I'm going to spend the vast majority of our time on the job side of things, since that is the most salient part of this platform. But a few different things I do want to note is one, we have things like a help center here, and this can, guide you through your search process or certain terms. Um, we have your profile settings in the top right. So if this is something where you want to integrate your LinkedIn, or if you want to add a secondary email, you'll do it here. You can also indicate if you want your profile visible to the network or not, and I'll explain exactly what that means in just a moment. But again, this is the home dashboard, and you'll see that us as an organization are sharing a lot of information. That information's going to range in topics such as immigration support, career readiness, trends in the economy, upcoming webinars that we have. And again, all of those are going to be relevant to the main topics of, again, immigration support and career readiness. So I want to go ahead and dive straight into the first aspect of the platform, and that's the jobs dashboard. So the jobs dashboard is further divided within these three main sections. We've got the search jobs, US visa insights, and country insights. So I'm going to start with the search jobs. Now, the search jobs is really, it's going to be more of like your general search, right? This is where you can search for opportunities based on things such as major or certain keywords. You can search companies, but we have a few different filters automatically in place to help guide international students specifically. So for example, we have this top 500 H-1B filter. The reason why we do have that is we do know that about 70% of international students are getting hired from 500 companies. So 500 companies are doing the vast majority of sponsorship when it comes down to sponsoring international students. And those are going to be some of your big names, right? Your Amazons, your Googles, but there may be a lot in there as well. So if I want to look at maybe specifically, maybe I'm looking at like a data analyst type of position. So now I'm greeted with some different opportunities here. There may be some pretty familiar names. There may be some unfamiliar names. I see some like at Cognizant, IBM. I do want to note a couple different things here. One, if you were to hover over the company name, you can see how many times that company sponsored in 2022, how many times they sent petitions on behalf of international folks. So if I want to check out Cognizant, they're one of the top sponsors. So they did 13,500. That is quite a lot of folks that they were willing to sponsor. But Thermo Fisher, as an example, they did 345. It's not 13,500, but it still is a good chunk of folks. IBM, they're also a big sponsor. They did almost 4,000. So you can get a quick snapshot to see how often is that company sponsoring. And we can find more of a detailed analysis in the US Visa Insights. So we'll get to there in just a moment. But I do want to mention a few different, a couple different things. You may notice a few different positions, one at IBM, Thermo Fisher, and the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They all have a tag next to it that says sponsored last year. So that means those jobs at those companies, they specifically sponsored someone from an international background to do that job last year. So those ones are going to have the highest likelihood of sponsorship just because they've already onboarded someone from an international background to do that exact job. And that is also a filter in itself. So we have a top 500 H-1B filter, top 1,000 H-1B filter. we have sponsored last year. So maybe I want to look at, I saw some folks mention they were from engineer. So maybe I want to look at engineering positions that specifically were only sponsored. Now the search results reflect that. And there may be some pretty familiar names. I'm seeing Apple right here, Caterpillar. It's really just going to range on what exactly that you're looking for. But you can narrow this down by state. You can narrow it down by city. So maybe you're searching for opportunities specifically in New York. Or if you want to, I'm on the West Coast, maybe look at opportunities on the West Coast. Now this reflects that. So I know that all of these positions are based in California, that are engineering based, that were specifically sponsored last year. So, and there's some pretty familiar names. I see Dell, I see Tesla or Google, Cisco. But that's just, one example of, so you can really kind of fine tune this as specific as you want it to be, as broad as you'd like it to be. You can search by internships. So I know that Diane mentioned that y'all are having an opportunity to discuss more immigration options after this meeting. I definitely recommend that you attend that, because you can answer more specific questions to your unique situation. But say you want to utilize CPT and you're looking specifically for internships, and maybe I'm looking at business internships. Now this reflects that. So I'm seeing a few different summer internships that have already been posted within the past 24 hours. I see one that's specifically an MBA intern. So if y'all if anyone here is in grad school, see one on the business side of things. So again, you can indicate certain categories or certain position types that you're looking for. This is an international job search platform, and that was developed because for international folks, it's very important to have multiple backup plans in place. A lot of times those backup plans may be looking at opportunities in either your home country or Canada. We know Canada is a big backup plan. We actually do partner with the Canadian Embassy to deliver webinars on what it would mean to live and immigrate to Canada through the express entry process. So we have one coming up in November. And again, I'll showcase where that lies as we continue to scroll through the portal. But maybe if you're a student and you're from India and you want to look at opportunities both within the US and back home, all you have to do is just change the country code to, in this case, India, and continue your search. So maybe I'm looking at business type of role. And there may be some pretty familiar names, like I see Dutch Bank. There may be some unfamiliar names or familiar to you if you're familiar with some of the companies over there. But you can also still search specifically by city or by, again, position type. So maybe you want to search in a certain country, but maybe if I'm looking at India, but I only want to look in Mumbai, then I can enter that here and shift the search results to reflect that. So you can give each search a save, which I definitely recommend that you do, especially if you are casting several different nets. Maybe you're double majoring, or maybe you're searching in multiple regions within the US. Maybe you're looking in the Philadelphia region, but you're also looking in New York and Denver. And maybe you're also looking in Canada and the UK. That's kind of a lot to keep memorized in your head. So you can save each of those searches at the bottom right here, give it a title, and indicate if you want new job postings based on that search emailed to you on either a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. And the save searches are going to go ahead and be here on your right. So I definitely recommend that y'all do that. Is again, just as a way to keep you organized. So that way, every time you log into the portal, you don't have to research all of those settings. You can just save those settings for those different searches that you're looking for, and then just scroll through those opportunities when you log in. Cool. The next aspect of the portal that I want to go ahead and dive into is the US Visa Insights. So this is going to differ a little bit from the search jobs, right? The search jobs is more of like your general search. You can search using those filters like the top 500 H-1B sponsor, or you can look at sponsored last year. You can search regionally, you can search by keyword. The US Visa Insights tab is really more where you can do your research in terms of industries or company specifics to see, one, does that company have a history of sponsorship? If so, for what types of jobs? And what type of experience level are they looking for when they're hiring for those jobs? So you can search based on different visa type. Right now, well, H-1B is the most coveted, so that is the standard. And right now it's sorted from high to low. So Amazon, they are the #1 sponsor of international folks. They did over 23,000 petitions last year alone. So that is a big chunk of people. But if I want to go ahead and view Amazon's profile, here is where I can find the breakdown of that 23,000. So I can see, yes, they sent out 23,000 petitions to sponsor folks, but here are the jobs that they're specifically sponsoring for. So they did over 5,000 for software engineer type of positions. If I click on it, I can see the experience level that they're looking for when they're sponsoring for, in this case, software engineers. So it looks like about 40% entry, 60% qualified. But if I'm a student and I'm doing anything within the software engineer field and I see this information, this is music to my ears. I clearly have no reservations as to whether or not Amazon is willing to sponsor for this type of position. They did so over 5,000 times last year alone. But maybe I'm not a software engineer. Maybe I'm studying a business or doing something more on data. It makes sense that Amazon's hiring quite a lot of software engineers since they're a web-based platform. But if I'm studying business and I want to see, well, are they hiring business folks? And I could see right here that they sponsored a little over 400 last year for business analyst type of positions. It's not quite 5,000, but it is still a good chunk of individuals. So this is just one example. This is one example for one company, but you can search by industry, you can search by job classification, you can search by job title, or you can also search company specifically. So I want to do a few different examples just to kind of see what's going on. So if we want to search by industry, we have different, industries here, and maybe we can check out, let's do video games. So if anyone here is kind of like a gamer and maybe they want to see if video game companies sponsor or how they sponsor. So we click the video game industry. In just a moment, we'll see different video game companies appear. So I see some pretty familiar names. I see Epic Games or Blizzard, Niantic. Again, it's sorted from high to low. So let's look at Electronic Arts. They're the #1 sponsor within the video game industry. So here's how EA has sponsored. So I can see, again, a good chunk of software roles, but I also see data scientist, AI engineer, game designer. That's interesting. Marketing. So if anyone here is studying more on the marketing side of things. So right now we're on petition information, but if I really like this company, I can scroll on over to open positions and see if they have any openings specifically at the company. And now I know that all of these positions are live right here. I'm seeing a few different positions that were specifically sponsored, but you can also search within this company. So maybe I want to see if there's any internships available. And right now I'm seeing quite a lot. So it looks like a animator intern. I see a insights analyst one for this upcoming summer, visual effects intern, um, finance planning. So if anyone here is more on the business side of things, but you still want to, maybe you're passionate about the video game industry, that could sound like a great way to blend your area of study and a company that works within this field. So again, each company is going to have both their petition information, and within that, you'll see how they're sponsoring, the experience level they're looking for, as well as also a little bit of a blurb and like their LinkedIn, which you can check out and see who from UPenn is at that company. There's bound to be a lot. Maybe you can reach out to a hiring manager or a recruiter and pick their brain. And each company is also going to have that open positions. So you can see if there are any openings right then and there. But I want to do a few different examples. Showcase that you can search again by job classification. You can search by industry. You can also search company specific. So right now we were searching by industry, but if I change it to company, I saw some folks that said that they were in education. And I remember seeing a school district at in Dallas. So maybe we want to look at, if there's a specific school district that you want to search and see, do they sponsor? So let's do this one as an example. So the Dallas Independent School District, they sponsored about 250 times last year. Again, here is that breakdown. So you can see how this district is specifically sponsoring. So it looks like the vast majority of folks that they're looking for are bilingual elementary school teachers, but they're also looking for high school math, high school science, middle school math. So it's really going to range just depending on how that company has sponsored. Excuse the ambulance that is driving by. But yes, so that's one example. I do want to showcase another one. So maybe I'm, want to search based on maybe job classification. So if, I mentioned business, if there's anyone here specifically looking at finance and you want to search, a financial analyst type of roles, then I can go ahead and search that. And I know that these companies specifically sponsored for financial analysts. So I see Google, they sponsored a little over 100 times for financial analyst positions. I'm seeing a lot of banking institutions, which is not a big surprise here. But EY, they did quite a lot specifically for financial analysts. So, and again, here is the breakdown in terms of EY specifically and how they're sponsoring. So it looks like they did almost 2,000 petitions for accountants and auditors. Looks like it's a pretty good blend of experience level that they're looking for. So again, if you're coming from undergrad, they're definitely looking for entry level folks. If you're coming in with your MBA or from grad school, it looks like they're looking mostly for qualified folks. But you can do this for each company. So sometimes what I do hear from some international folks is, I do hear that this company sponsors, but they're only sponsoring for like VP roles or director roles. So this is where you can find out that information ahead of time. So if you're interested in applying for a job at that company, you can look up the company and see, do they sponsor for folks for jobs that I'm interested in applying to, for jobs around my experience level. So one more example that I want to do, and I want to search company specifically again. So I'm changing it from industry to company. And I find this to be a very, relevant example. So I want to search for Walmart because someone suggested it like a year ago. And I can see that Walmart sponsored thousands of times last year alone. That's a good sign. However, you'll notice a pretty consistent theme here as we scroll through the breakdown in terms of how Walmart sponsors. You see software engineer, staff software engineer, data scientist, data engineer, quality engineer, advanced analytics. So this is all great news if I'm coming in with that software development, software engineer, data background. But if I'm, business, or if I'm communications, or if I'm graphic design, yes, I can see that Walmart has sponsored thousands of times, but they tend to be doing it from a particular lens. And I don't want to say never, especially if you've interned with this company, if you've really connected with a hiring manager, then absolutely move forward with your opportunity. But this can give you a realistic understanding to know ahead of time. Again, does this company have a history of sponsorship? What types of jobs are they sponsoring for? What type of experience level are they looking for those jobs? And then do they have any openings available? So that's how the US Visa Insights tab differs from the search jobs. The search jobs is a little bit more of a general opportunity to search, right? You can search by region, you can search using those filters, whereas the Visa Insights is a little bit more of your research side. And this is also where you can do that like reverse search, where you can search based on companies, or you can search by industry or by job classification. And again, that's really going to range. There's might be certain time, every industry is going to have a little bit of a different recruitment process. So, for example, within the field of education, most folks tend to be hiring somewhere between, January to March. That's when you see a lot of openings because most jobs within the field of education start in summer. They start in July or August. So you don't see as many openings within the field of education in August as you would maybe in February. So just note that, if you that each industry is going to look a little bit different. Some there might be periods where there's quite a lot of openings, and some it might be a little bit more stagnant. It's just going to depend on everyone's unique scenario. I do want to recommend that if you are, if you do have questions about your field or your industry or anything career related, that definitely check in with your team at Penn, making sure that there's a whole team there to help you through this process. So, just a quick little tidbit there. But I do want to recognize my time, and I want to move forward through the rest of the portal just to provide an overview. But the next tab I want to talk about is the country insights. So, with international folks, it's very important to have a backup plan. And, a lot of times those backup plans look at searching abroad. Um, so if you're interested in moving abroad, maybe you're curious as to what it would mean to live and work in that country. Or maybe you got a job at a company, but the visa lottery system, maybe it was not in your favor, but that company has several different offices around the globe. That actually happened with my supervisor, who I mentioned at the beginning, from Nepal. He got a job offer. They were willing to sponsor him. The H-1B lottery system didn't work in his favor. So they said, hey, you can work in Brazil, you can work in the United Kingdom. They had multiple different offices that they could transfer him to. He ended up going with the United Kingdom. So maybe you're in a position where you want to search, or you have that opportunity to transfer into multiple different satellite offices, and you're not really sure, where to begin with that research. The country insights can be a great tool for you to check out, so you can see things like cost of living, or what does healthcare look like, what kind of work permits are you going to need. We have different city guides available. So if you are interested in moving abroad and you want to know a little bit more about what that would entail, this could be a great place to to start doing your research on. Awesome. Okay, so that's the jobs dashboard. Again, I'm always spending the most amount of our time together on the jobs dashboard since that is the most important piece to this. But a few other aspects to the platform. The next one is the network. So the network is an opt-in, opt-out feature, which again, you can always change on your profile settings um, right over here. But the first time you log in, it'll ask you if you want your profile visible to the network. And just to clarify, the network's only going to be for UPenn students. So you're only going to see fellow UPenn students, alumni, faculty, staff. So you're not going to be connected with students from like NYU or Arizona State or any of our other partners. It'll be here. But you can search for folks based on country or degree type. So maybe if you want to see if there are other students who are from your country here and you want to try to connect, maybe you want to try to, make some food together or something, you can message one another. So kind of like social media embedded into the portal. We do have these things called topics. Topics are kind of like Facebook groups. They're groups centered around specific topics. And we have some that come standard with the portal, but you can also create some too, just by going to the Discover tab and hitting Create New Topic. If you want it to be an open work group, or it can also be a closed space where people need to be invited. So if you want it to be more like maybe you're in a club and you want a working space together, you can check that out. The next tab that I want to go over is the Learn one. And the Learn tab is personally my next favorite one after the jobs, just because I think there's a lot of really great information available here. Starting off with our webinars. So we have we're throwing on quite a lot of webinars on a monthly basis. You'll see the topics again are going to range in things like immigration support or career readiness. I mentioned that we partner with the Canadian Embassy to deliver webinars on what it would look like as to move to Canada, if that is something that you're interested in learning a little bit more about the express entry application process. So you can check this out. We have like an alumni series. This one is about navigating the tech industry with an MBA program. Some of these are a little bit more hyper specific. So for example, immigration options for nurses, that's a little bit more on the specific end. But if you aren't able to attend a webinar for whatever reason, any of our recorded webinars will be on the on demand tab. So you can check out some of these. And some of them, again, are more immigration based. Like this one is family based immigration. This one's about the O1 visa. So if you ever have time, you can go ahead and check out the recorded webinars. This one was very interesting. This one was about a student who was a film major and now is a data scientist at Dr. Pepper. So she's she's delivering her information on her experience of being an international student who was originally a film major and now does marketing. We do have different courses available for you, and these include things around like the job search process, work authorization, so things again with this relevant category. So just more resources available for you to check out when you do have some downtime. Same thing with different resources. And again, it's going to be around those same topics such as immigration support, career readiness. We have some on CPT, OPT, STEM OPT, and I know you do have this presentation afterwards, which again, definitely recommend that you attend just so you can get some good information for what's available as an opportunity for you. Lastly, we have our tools. So the tools is divided within a few different sections. That includes like a checklist. So we have things like a checklist for the job search process, the interview process, the long distance job search process. And you can customize these. So if you want to, add a specific task, something like, remember to apply to IBM job by November 1st, whatever that may look like. So you can customize these. how you see fit. You can add subtasks to them, or you can delete it and it'll go away. So just another tool to keep you accountable on your process. We do have a career game plan available, and the career game plan is based on the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So they did a national survey for recruiters and asked them, what characteristics are you looking for in new hires? They identified these as the 8 most common characteristics. So I tell international students, I'm like, use this as a study guide, almost to hype yourself up as you embark upon the interview process. One of the biggest forms of feedback that we hear from international students, as well as also from employers, is the language barrier in the interview process, of feeling like maybe they weren't able to accurately you reflect themselves within the interview setting. So that's why I say use this as a study guide. It can be a manner of a way to get that vernacular, to be able to professionally describe yourself within that interview setting, or even just a way to kind of build some confidence, get some of those keywords in your word bank that are based on categories that employers are looking for. But that is the portal in a nutshell. So there's quite a lot to explore. Um, there's a lot of information here, but it's pretty intuitive. I do hear that feedback a lot from folks. But if I had to give like 3 main takeaways to this, that if you can kind of just like bank these 3 things in as to how this can support you through your immigration and career process. The first one would be the ability to search for opportunities using those filters that were specifically designed for international students, right? Those top 500 filters sponsored last year. The next one would be the US Visa Insights. So that we probably hear the highest form of feedback on, just because companies aren't posting their sponsorship data on their career websites, and that's hard to find online. And University of Pennsylvania has purchased this for you to be able to utilize, again, and you can use this after graduation too. Maybe you have STEM OPT and it's been 3 years since you don't have to worry about sponsorship. You might want to revisit this in the future. But just the ability to see how companies are sponsoring, for what types of jobs, the experience level they're looking for, and if they have any openings. So that would be the second one. And then the third one would just be the amount of resources that are available here. So I know we kind of quickly browsed through all the resources on the portal. There's quite a lot. So maybe when you have some downtime in your future, you can check it out, just to take a deeper dive.
Kendall, thank you so much. This is so much information. And I really appreciate everyone taking the time to be here today and to learn a little bit more about Interstride. I highly recommend that you log on and create an account and get utilizing the platform. Thank